former President Gayoom, who many will remember as the 30-year president, an autocrat, who nobody could describe as a real Democrat. Why have you joined forces with him?
I have joined forces with many political parties. As you know, Mr. Gayoom's party is just one of them. There are 7 political parties. Every single active political party in Maldives is working with me. And why can't MDP work with us also? You know, at this time, the politics in Maldives is very divisive. And we have deep problems in the early days of democracy. We never expected, you know, it to be so hard, but that's the way it is. And now I think even MDP and Mr. Nasheed must also work with everybody else. You know, they can't just have their way and nothing else. They have to also discuss these things. They can't start from the end point. The end result they want is an election date, and that's what they want to start with. How can a discussion continue that way? I have set up already a discussion forum. I have put forward an agenda for discussion. A very respectable former president of the Human Rights Commission has been asked to do this job. I expect them to lend some cooperation at least so for the sake of this country.
But you ask the rhetorical question, why can't Nasheed show us some trust? Why can't he join the dialogue? Maybe because by throwing your lot in with Gayoom's people, he doesn't believe you're deserving of trust. Let's remember, Gayoom is the man who made him a prisoner of conscience, who in effect forced you into exile for years. Gayoom and his people are not committed to democracy, so why are you working with them?
This is not true. It's not only Gayoom's people. As I said, there are 7 political parties involved here.
All the political parties. I heard you say that, Mr. President, but look at the reality. Your Home Affairs Minister was Gayoom's Minister of Justice. Gayoom's lawyer has become...
He was also minister in Nasheed's cabinet.
Yeah, I know, but look at the list. Gayoom's lawyer becomes your Minister of Justice. His daughter becomes your Minister of State for Foreign Affairs. His youngest son becomes Minister of State for Human Resources. I mean, this is a close association.
There are 14 members. There are 14 members in the cabinet, and 3 of them are from PPM, from Gayoom's party. The rest of us from other political parties. So it is not fair to say that it's predominantly Gayoom's. In fact, you should know that Mr. Nasheed's closest allies were also members of Mr. Gayoom's cabinet earlier. His last foreign minister was a minister in Gayoom's government. His special envoy, Mr. Zaki, held many positions in Gayoom's cabinet. So it's unfair just to assume. This country is a small country. Gayoom was ruling this country for 30 years. Most of the people who got education here went through higher education, went during his time. Government was the biggest employer. So almost everybody had some role in that government.
Well, here's what the Times of India said in an editorial the other day, quote, Gayoom clearly is pulling the strings behind the scenes in your government. That's their view. I suppose they're also basing that on what we see at the human rights record, for example. Amnesty International accusing your security forces in the last couple of months of beating civilian protesters, beating children, beating women who happen to be expressing a political opinion. That's the sort of thing we saw during the Gayoom era.
There were some confrontations on the 8th of February. That was before I could even put together a cabinet. Mr. Nasheed came out on the street with his supporters, threatening to burn down places and destroy things. They went out in other parts of the island where we did not have the kind of security presence as in Mali. They went ahead and torched many police stations and court buildings and caused enormous damage. All the public records of the judiciary in the southern region have been completely destroyed. And that had to be stopped. There may have been some excessive uses of force.
Yes,
but I have insisted.
With respect, Mr. President, I don't think it was just February the 8th. I'm looking at an Amnesty report which itemizes excessive use of force on February 20th, February 26th. These are days in which you have to be held to account because you were the President.
I have been insisting that the police and the law enforcement agencies abide by the Constitution and by the rule of law. Obviously, some of the things that have occurred here have also occurred in the past, during Nasheed's time as well. You know, the demonstrations that went on for 3 weeks, they were dispersed similarly because nobody made a big deal of it, but pepper spray was sprayed in people's eyes, people were beaten, and those things happened. We have to have more training for our police force, and we have to build confidence in the police force. There's no doubt about it. These are the kinds of things that have to be done before we can have a free and fair election in the country.
Do you ever wonder, in your perhaps darker moments, that you have engaged in some sort of Faustian pact here by agreeing to become president in the wake of the demise of Nasheed? Because it is going to get very difficult. Your tourist numbers are down. Your own Tourism Industries Association reckons you're going to lose $100 million over the next 6 months. We see protests on the streets. We see continued unrest around the parliament. Things, it seems, in your country are going to get worse before they get better.
We have a situation here where it's Nasheed's way or no way. You know, all the political parties who are working with me, they represent the majority of the people in this country. They also have a voice, and we need to discuss and come to dialogue so that we can have some semblance of peace and stability on the streets of Male. The only disturbances that are caused here are caused by Mr. Nasheed's supporters. You know,
but that's not true, Mr. President, is it? And if we're talking about inflammatory language, it's not just Nasheed supporters who may be indulging in that from time to time. There are people who are now inside your coalition who are using very Islamic language, very inflammatory language, referring, for example, to the fact that Nasheed is involved in a devious plot to destroy the Islamic faith of the Maldives. Just strikes me that, again, you and your associates are playing with fire here.
No, this is an Islamic country, and there are fears that other religions might develop here and so on. It's an Islamic country. There is a political party that represents Islamic values. They were also in Mr. Nasheed's cabinet. And things haven't changed just overnight.
Yeah, but to be plain, Mr. President, I want to pin you down on this. Do you disassociate yourself from this idea that Nasheed was involved in a devious plot to destroy the Islamic faith of your country?
I have never accused him of that. Of course, there may be some people who accuse him of it.
No, but do you disassociate yourself from it?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And, you know, what you need to also understand is that just like in the United States, just like in Europe, there are political parties who represent religious values. That doesn't make Maldives a fundamentalist country, or, you know, the sudden political fears that are being spread about fundamentalism, Islam is not worth the effort that is being put into it in terms of publicity.
How long is this very difficult phase in Maldives' current politics going to last, Mr. President?
I hope not too long, because we are in discussions. I met with the parliament leader of Nasheed's party, and I have assured him that I will support any decision of the parliament to hold early elections. I have assured him that we will have early elections. Even if the parliament can't agree, we will have early elections as early as possible under the current constitution. I cannot go against the constitution. We have come to this point because we have not respected our constitution, and we have not respected the rule of law. The last thing I want to do is to circumvent the constitution.
Mr. President, President Mohammed Waheedh, thank you very much for joining us from Mali. That was an edition of Hard Talk presented by me, Stephen Sacker. For details of our complete range of podcasts and our terms of use, go to bbcworldservice.com/podcasts.